and players smiling.
But Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in, 51 for Jason Tatum.
The Big Three NBA podcast is powered by PrizePicks and the Game Time app.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Three NBA podcast. Yes, I'm back before Sherrod
The
and
MVP is
Washburn.
back in the building.
The jokes were coming, so I had to get ahead of them. We're going to get started in just a second. Before we do that, just a reminder that you are listening to the Big Three NBA podcast, which is part of the CLNS Media Network family. We wouldn't be able to do it without a lot of great partners, really. But one of them is PrizePicks. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can download the app today and get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Did you guys miss me is the big question.
Of course, we missed the MVP, Kwani winner.
I did.
You
Kawhi
and
Leonard load management jokes.
Great ones. We missed the great ones.
2 times a year I don't show up on the pod.
Gary, did she say 2 times a year?
I feel like I only have been out twice a year.
That's what Kawhi Leonard said too. Y'all not only miss twice a year when I don't feel like playing.
Go run the tape.
I don't feel like
want to see the numbers. That's our producer. I want to see what he has to say. And we have to talk about him before we wrap the show at the end. So stick around for that. But let's get into the Celtics. That's why most of you were here. They beat Brooklyn over, finally, at this point in the season. They're over 500 for the first time. Jaylen Brown, 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in that game. Peyton Pritchard, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Derek White, 15, 5, and 4, 2 assists, 2 blocks. But after that win, I feel so silly asking, has your outlook changed at all for this
team? I want to hear what Gary got to say on that one because I know how I feel.
You know how you feel, but we got to
know how Gary Washburn feel.
He's barely said a word since we started.
Exactly. All this nonsense going on.
We're just yapping away.
Yeah. Anyway, Kawhi, I feel like the Celtics are a team that they're going to have to struggle to win every night. Like, it's just going to be like, not that they're a bad team. They're a solid team. But the ease of winning is just not there anymore like it was in the previous years. Mm. And so they're going to struggle with teams like Brooklyn for 3.5 quarters, 3+ quarters, as they did last night, where they were, I think, down 90-89, then kind of went on a big spurt, ended up winning 113-99. But that was a very competitive game all throughout the first 3 quarters. The Celtics fell behind early, and they couldn't pull away. In the third quarter, they tried. I think they went up by as many as 11, and then Brooklyn took a 1-point lead briefly. And this is kind of how it's going to be. Like, there's just going to be a level of, like, we have no idea what's going to happen on any night. And they could beat any team, and they can lose to any team. And I think we've seen it. They lost at home to Utah. They lost that opener to Philadelphia. But they were able to beat Orlando the second time. They were able to beat, they beat the Nets. They beat the Clippers. They beat the Cavaliers. Like, this is a team that we just can't count on any particular night them playing a certain way. They're going to look good on certain nights. They're going to look not so good on other nights. And they're going to look both on certain nights where the Clippers game, they look great. And then all of a sudden they're up 24, 79-55. And all of a sudden everything changed and they end up winning by 3. So this is the team we're going to have to accept. This is life as a 40+ win team. This is life as a potential play-in team. So what I'm learning about this team is that we just don't know what to expect. And I do think it's admirable that they're now over 500, but the East is the East is very interesting. The Celtics are 2 games back from the second place spot, although they're now 9th. So there's Detroit, Sherrod's Pistons, which are,
he can't stop yapping about them.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Let's just skip to the second team.
Yeah, let's cut. Emit, can we cut that part out where he starts doing the bankhead bounce, please? Anyway,
so number 2 are the Cavs.
Yeah,
that other team.
So it's Detroit and kind of everybody else, right? Cleveland's 10-5, that's solid, but the Celtics could be 10-5 with a couple of breaks here and there, right? So the East sounds like it's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be a bunch of teams like the Celtics who play well certain nights, don't play well other nights. Toronto's starting to emerge. They have a 4-game winning streak. But if you look at the streaks of the rest of the teams in the East, the Knicks lost one, the Sixers won one, the Hawks lost one, the Heat won one, the Bulls won one, the Celtics have won 3, and the Magic have won 1. That's a bunch of just up and down teams, and Milwaukee has lost 2. So the way it's shaping up is that there's 11 teams going for 10 spots. If you want to include Charlotte in that at 4 and 10, I think there's a line where Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington, we all know Brooklyn, Washington, Indiana are tanking. Okay, so we all know, don't count them like new edition, count them out, count me out. Sherrod knows that. I don't think Kwani knows that reference.
What? Why is it always I don't know? What about maybe Sherrod doesn't know and I know?
I do though.
If Sherrod doesn't know, count me out. He got to give up his 1980s card. Like he's got to give that up. It's being revoked. If Sherrod don't know, count me out because it's in his. We all got one
in your wallet, by the way.
Clean that 1980s card. I got mine. Sherrod got his.
He actually got one because the driver's like.
Sherrod don't know, count me out. Then he just revoked immediately.
The new edition membership card don't never expire.
Never expire. So if you're looking at the East, for the viewers, I think it's 11 teams going for 10 spots. Somebody's not going to make the play-in, right? It could be the Celtics, could be Orlando, maybe Chicago. Somebody's probably going to drop. But if you look at the Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington, Indiana, all appear to be kind of in tank mode, even though I don't think Charlotte's trying to tank. They're just not very good, right? Without LaMelo, they're about Brandon Miller. So the Celtics now can see almost, 15 games of the season. Okay, this is what we need to do. We're probably going to be pushing for a play-in at least for a play-in the entire season. So they got to win games that they need to win. They got to beat Brooklyn on Friday. They got to beat the teams they need to beat, and they got to pull off some upsets. I think we've seen, as we know, this team, we just don't know what to expect, but that's life in the East. There's a bunch of teams in the East that you don't know what to expect, except maybe Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that Boston is in that 35-45 zone as far as wins this year. And when you're in that wide of space in terms of final win total, you're going to be a team that you're going to find yourself in a lot of games. You're going to find yourself in position to blow teams out, and then you win by 2 or 3 points, which we've seen from this team. The thing that I like about this Celtics team is that no matter who they're playing, there's a level of compete that they come with every single game. Whether you're Cleveland and you're one of the favorites, whether you're Charlotte, whether you're Chicago, whether you're the Brooklyn Nets, the Celtics are not just going to roll over and let you smash it. They've only had maybe 1 or 2 games like that this year, and it was such an oddity that it became clearly the talk of that game. Not so much that they lost the game, but the fact that they really didn't show up and compete the way we're accustomed to seeing. And so to me, that's a good foundation for your team to have when you really don't know what you can do in terms of wins and losses, because you're not going to have any shot at winning if you can't at a minimum compete. And that's the one thing, if there is a certain level of consistency with this team, it has been the fact that they show up and they give good effort from top to bottom. And some nights, obviously, it looks better than it does on others. But the bottom line with this team is that they show up ready to play regardless of who is on that other's, whoever they got to match up with. So if you're the Celtics, that's definitely one of the silver linings that you are going to totally latch onto and feel as though, again, no matter what you do, it has to be part of who you are and what you do.
And I think it goes back to it's kind of corny and cliche, but like the Celtics way of, obviously they don't have the manpower that they've been used to in the past, but coaching wise, we know that they still have the mentality of we're going to fight till the end, whether or not that the results show what we, are planning for. They look like we joked about tanking earlier in the season. They're not going to do that. I mean, they would never admit that, but the Celtics are talented enough to not want to do that.
No, and with Jaylen Brown leading the way, I mean, they are lined up to be a team that's always going to compete
Exactly.
game in, game out. That's what they do. So,
we like to see it. What has surprised you both about this team so far?
I would say
Nothing.
No, I mean, they kind of this is kind of who I thought they'd be.
That's fair.
This is kind of I mean, the only guy that has surprised me a little bit is just maybe Jordan Walsh, just because he's actually playing and contributing. I thought that once we got to the start of the season and he wasn't playing, that he would be, the guy, in the game of musical chairs that Joe Mazzulla played with the rotation, would always be the guy looking for someone to sit down. But now he's been a guy that has shown the ability to help this team win games. Particularly with his defense against quick guards, which I think that the Celtics have historically struggled against. When you look at the teams that have given them fits in the playoffs, it's usually been an ultra quick guard that they can defend at a high level. With Drew Holiday and Marcus Smart and Derek White and all those guys, they're great against most guards. But when you have guys like Maxey, when you have guys, with super top shelf speed, those guys have given him problems. But Jordan, to his credit, has shown the ability to defend those guys and at a minimum, slow them down a little bit from just dominating and taking over games. And that's one of those building blocks as they put this team together going forward and figure out which pieces are you going to carry over from the 25-26 season or going to be part of your plans for 26-27 when Jason Tatum is back. Jordan is making a very strong case to be part of that mix and part of that rotation going forward.
I think what surprises me is that this team has so many flaws. However, they're still 8-7, right? So if you look at their top guys, Peyton Pritchard, who's on a hot streak lately, is shooting 33% from three. Derek White, who's played better of late, is shooting 30.5%. Sam Hauser, who's hit a couple of shots of late, is at 33.3% from three. So if you look at the players and what they've done, only Jaylen has really had a season that you're just like, yeah, that dude has lived up to expectations. The rest have been up and down and had their slumps, but they're still 8-7. And I think we all kind of agreed that for this team to be a top 5 or 6 seed in the East, they were going to need Brown, Pritchard, and White to play great ball. And they just quite honestly haven't. Anthony Simons, who has, varied opinions about how much he should play. Is Joe screwing him on minutes? Is Joe not letting him kind of spread his wings? But, he's stepped up 13.3 points per game in 24.5 minutes. So he's getting almost, a point every 2 minutes. That's pretty damn, that's solid. So to me, the most surprising thing is everything is not worked out to perfection. This team still has trouble in certain categories. They foul too much. They shoot one of the fewest free throws in the league. So this team has blatant weaknesses. However, they're still 8-7 with wins over Cleveland, with wins over the Clippers, with wins over teams who, Orlando, who are quality clubs. So it shows you the potential of this team if they got really right. So I think the biggest surprise is they're 500. They're over 500. They have a chance to go 2 games over 500, and they still haven't played nearly even close to their best ball. I think it's an encouraging sign.
100% agree. I heard a very ridiculous conversation on Boston Sports Radio that I don't even really want to acknowledge, but I'll ask this, which is, I think I know the answer, but I want to hear your opinions. Who would you say is the MVP of this team right now?
Gary, who you got?
I'm going to say Jaylen. I mean, I think Jaylen has stepped up and done everything he's supposed to do. If analytics folks might say Kata, because Kata has done some really amazing things in terms of screening.
That's what the person said.
Yes, that's what the analytics people say. I understand. I don't agree. However, I do think he's done some solid things. I think he can be better. I think we have seen Kata, in as much as he's played well, we've seen him kind of lose battles. I mean, he lost the battle to Jalen Duren. He's lost battles to some of the bigs around the league where it's like, come on, man, step it up. He got chumped by Andre Drummond last week in Philadelphia. So, as much as I think he's done what analytic folks would say is very productive things, and he has been productive at times, I think he can be better. But I just think the consistency that Jaylen has played with over the course of the first 15 games, down there 28 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. He is played solid basketball, 35% from 3, and he can get better at the 3. I think he had an 0 for 9 game. You maybe take that away, and I'm sure obviously his numbers go up. So to me, I think the MVP has been Jaylen, just because everyone knows he's going to get the ball. The focus is going to be on him, and he's still getting it done. He's hitting those mid-rangers. He is going to his game. I don't think, quite honestly, he's trying to do too much. I don't think he's trying to do too much. And I think that was the biggest fear. Is he going to try to take on too much and be this super person and try to just carry the team on his back? And it's like, he has not done that. He has been a distributor. He's taken the shots when he needs to take them. So to me, I think that the MVP, without question, is Jaylen.
Do you agree, Sherrod? You're muted. Do you agree? Tell us.
I do agree. I do agree with Gary.
Singing. Okay.
As soon as Kwani Lunis starts singing, we had to shut it down.
For the record, I did a cappella in college and choir. I was just goofy singing. I'm retired though. I'm not.
Back then, you were goofy singing. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
it worked.
I can carry a note even while goofy singing.
Is that what they call that?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you're not really trying.
Okay.
Anyway, do you agree that Jaylen's the MVP at this point in the season?
He is. I don't even know why it's debatable.
I know, that's why I felt silly asking, but I was like, because it was such a heated conversation, I was just curious to hear.
But again, it goes back to Gary's point about how, we have a tendency to obsess over numbers, even though the eye test tells us something dramatically different. When you look at the production that you're getting from Jaylen Brown, and the fact that it doesn't feel like he's forcing the action most nights, like he's had 1 or 2 games where he seemed like he maybe was in shot chuck mode, but for the most part, he's taking what the defense is giving him and taking what he wants from the defense if they're not going to give it to him, without being really greedy about it. So the only issue I have with Jaylen really this year is the turnovers, which you knew there'd be more of those because he'd have the ball in his hands more, and it's not like this isn't him and Jason Kidd went to Cal, and that's pretty much the extent of their connection. He ain't got the handles like a J Kidd or a point guard, because that's not who he is. But he's an explosive, dynamic scorer, particularly in transition. They're running more than they have in the past, and that certainly lends itself to his brand of basketball. So he's been everything they've needed up to this point. To be more than just a competitive team, but a team that can actually have a winning record. And, we're 15 games into the slate of things. And so that puts us at about, 20 percentage point of the season. So there's still some basketball, good amount of basketball left to be played. But to Jaylen's credit, he's been very good. I fully expect him to be an all-star this year again. Whether he'll be all NBA, that a lot depends on how well the Celtics do as a team. But he's doing his part to, at a minimum, make sure that his name is in the conversation when those talks start to heat up as we get close to the end of the season.
100%. All right. That being said, let's talk about someone else on this team, Baylor Scheierman. He's been getting more minutes than expected. What do you think about that? Are you surprised? Obviously, this is a next man up season. So what do you think about what he's doing on the floor?
Surprised the hell out of me. I ain't gonna lie. I figured that, once Jordan Wall started playing, that Baylor was gonna be that dude. Mm-hmm. And then by that dude, I mean that dude at the end of the bench that does what we do. Watch the game. Maybe every now and then get the towel wave going. But for the most part, I expected him to be a non-playing factor in this team. And to his credit, he's done a solid job when he's got in the game. But the thing that surprises me about him is the one skill that they expect him to do is the one thing he hasn't done nearly as well as he should, and that's knock down shots. And I was worried that without having a Jason Tatum around, he would be one of the guys that wouldn't necessarily be able to get off shots and get clean looks at the rim. But he's missing great looks. It's not like defenses are like when he's taking shots. They're doing a great job of locking him up. He's getting great looks. He's just not making them with the kind of consistency that someone who is that's supposed to be one of your strong suits is supposed to do. So his defense has been solid. He's been a pretty good rebounder. His playmaking has been decent. He's doing enough to make sure that when he gets his opportunity to play, he makes the most of it. And maybe, again, the one thing he's doing that I don't know if you can really put a specific numerical or statistical value on, but he's slowly but surely gaining the trust of Joe Mazzulla, which is hard to do. To me, one of the most important moments in that game was when Baylor was in there and there was a play where they ruled for Brooklyn off Baylor, and Baylor's like, "Nah, it wasn't me." And Joe decided to challenge it. And I'm thinking, if they win this challenge, Baylor's going to be all right. If they lose this challenge, Baylor just might be back in the doghouse, doing what we do, watch the game. They won the challenge. He stayed out there. He did a couple more nice things before he went to the bench. And again, he's starting to show that he has value beyond just being a shot maker. But make no mistake about it, dude got to make shots. That's literally why you are in the NBA. No one drafted you because you can lock kids up, because you don't. No one drafted you because you play well above the rim. You don't. No one drafted you for your playmaking or any of those things. They drafted you because you are a guy who can knock down shots, and those other things you can become solid in those areas. But they need you to become a better shot maker, and that's the ultimate key to him being able to make his minutes, frankly, get value out of them now, and then be able to replicate them and get more going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think Baylor is just trying to do the best he can in limited opportunities because, he's only taken 20 shots this season, like in 11 games. He's 9 for 17 from 3, which is good. So he's knocking down the 3-pointer in very limited chances. He's playing 10 minutes a game. There's 4 games he's had DNPs. So he's just trying to do what's best with the little opportunity that he has, because he's not getting a big opportunity here. And the question is, will his minutes expand? He's played 43 minutes over the last 3 games. He scored a total of 12 points. He's got he got a block, a couple of assists, rebounds, 5 rebounds in that stretch. So, that's going to be his role. Hit a shot when you're open, play some defense, make some energy plays. And that's pretty much who he is at this point. The whole concept of him being like, this team still has Sam Hauser. They still have guys who are, quite honestly, better shooters, better players, more consistent players. And so Baylor's not going to get in and not going to essentially get those minutes. He is going to have to make the best of his opportunities, and it sounds like over the last few games he's getting more opportunities. Now, the one thing he can't do is try to do too much, take too many shots, make too I know one play earlier this season he had some kind of crazy behind the back pass. Joe pulled him after that. There's just so many things that he does that sometimes you're like, Baylor, I know what you're trying to do, but don't do that. So if he just stays within himself, knocks down the open shot, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll get more minutes. But Joe's doghouse is ever changing, and it's always plenty of space. So it could be him. It could be Jordan Walsh eventually. Obviously, right now it's kind of Josh Minot. You don't know what quite honestly causes you to get put in the doghouse. Sometimes you don't do nothing. Sometimes it's like, what did I do?
That's the problem.
I ain't do nothing, and all of a sudden you're not playing.
Right.
So what Baylor has to do is just do the best with his limited opportunities, and then hopefully that will lead to more opportunities. Because right now, he's not going to get a lot of shots, but the ones he gets, he has knocked down. And quite honestly, by the 9 for 17, he's knocking them down.
Yeah. By the way, for those two conversations, MVP, what do you think about Baylor Scheierman? If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you drop your opinions below. We're going to try to get better at looking at them and responding when we see fit. But just a reminder that this podcast, the Big Three NBA podcast, is part of the CLNS Media Network, which is where you'll find our podcast, past, present, and of course, future, as well as a lot of other great Celtics content. Sherrod?
Yes, and folks, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season for PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win cash. It's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Jaylen Hurts or Drake May or any of your favorite quarterbacks' passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. You can also use the follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity, or just someone whose picks you really like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. And if you want in on this, it's real simple. You just download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
Thank you. All right. Before we go, we started off this episode talking about the Celtics and their place in the East. Like you mentioned, they're currently 9th in the East, 2 games out of that number 1 spot, which is really wild to think about. But overall, what is your concern and what can they do to really just solidify this being considered a successful season?
What you got, Gary?
I just think they need to play more consistently. They've got to be better in terms of not turning the ball over, rebounding, not fouling too much. They're putting themselves in real tremendous holes because they're sending the opposing team to the free throw line 30 plus times and they're shooting, let's say, 18. So they're already losing the game at the free throw line by 12 points, which means you have to be even better from the field. You've got to shoot better. Like, they've got to stop fouling. They've got to, I know against the Clippers, one of the reasons why the Clippers came back in the third quarter, the Celtics put them in the bonus. I want to say like 7 minutes, 30 seconds left in the third. Like, they lived in bonus hell for like the last 7.5 minutes. Like, you can't do that and beat even average teams. You're giving them a break. You're putting them on the line. You're making things easy for them. And that's the thing that I think has to stop. And obviously you're going to need to get better performances from Pritchard and White. You're going to need to get some more consistency from the big position. Keita is playing well. He's getting better. The plus minus with him on the floor is tremendous. But there's certain things more that he can do. He can't, the guys, he's got to match up better with some of the league's top centers. But to me, I just think more consistency, and I think that will come. The team is already a solid defensive team. They force turnovers. They're doing a lot of the things that I know Missoula wanted to do, win the margins, but foul less and get more consistent performances from Pritchard and White and some of the bench members, and I think that they'll be a solid club.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I'm seeing with this team right now is that their big three, which is Jaylen, Derek, and Pritchard, they're starting to play better, more consistent. The last couple of games, all three of those guys have really put their imprint on the game. The Brooklyn game, Derek White did not have a great shooting game, but he made big shots down the stretch. Pritchard had a double-double and was just 5 dimes away from a triple-double. And Jaylen has been the best player for them all season long. But for this team to, I think, really build off of what they're doing of late, they're going to need at least 2 guys on that second unit to have above average nights every night. It doesn't have to be the same 2 guys, but the way I see it, one of those 2 guys needs to be Anthony Simons. He's the one guy that you have on your second unit who has not just an NBA serviceable skill, he has an NBA elite skill. The way that he is able to score with such ease is very atypical of your average NBA player. And so for this team, which at times has trouble getting points, having a guy on your second unit who has that as his clear and undeniable, discernible skill, you have to find ways to make sure that he's on the floor consistently so he can be that at least one guy that you get great production from off that second unit. And once you get in the habit of him getting consistent play and doing things, you need one or two other guys to off that second unit to play well also. You start doing that, plus your big three are playing solid basketball, you're going to win a lot of games. And by a lot of games for this team, we're not talking about NBA championship a lot of games. We're talking about being a legitimate contender in that 4, 5, 6 space. Because to me, that's the ceiling for this group. Can they be one of the top 4? Can they be in that 4, 5, 6 conversation? Because I think Detroit, even if Detroit drops a little bit, they ain't going to drop far. And Cleveland, I still think is going to be in the top 3 as well. And the number 3 team, I think that's going to be a crapshoot. It could be a team that we expect to be in the mix, like Orlando, who isn't. They've struggled, but they're not that far out of the mix. Or it could be a surprise team like Toronto, who's playing some really good basketball. But they need to be, after that top 3 kind of cements itself and really firms up their position, they need to be in a conversation for 4, 5, 6 if they're going to have a season that exceeds the expectations that many have laid out for them. And frankly, their play in many instances lends itself to believing that's where they're going to be.
All right, before we go, they have their next game in their group stage within the NBA Cup. I know people don't really care about it, but what are you expecting in that one against Brooklyn?
Lord. Gary, she going to ask us about
the NBA Cup.
NBA Cup.
Hey, it's something to milestone for a team that's,
Well, here's the thing. I think for the Celtics, I mean, the fact that they've already lost one game in cup play, it makes it a little bit difficult for them to kind of get on and out. But track. You know what? I mean, to me, anytime you get a chance to play at a high level and bring them any type of hardware, you go for it. Especially for a team like the Celtics this year, who don't really have a clear identity. And for them,
why I brought it up.
For them, it's not even about in the past, when we talked about the cup, it didn't matter because their goals was much bigger and higher than that. Mm-hmm. This year, I mean, if this team wound up winning like the Emirates Cup thingy, that's a good season. That's a great season.
My question came full circle.
Gary would be like ready to get the duck boats. Gary would be in the front row of the duck boats.
Emirates Cup.
If they win the Emirates Cup, Gary would walk around. We got it, Joe. We did it.
Oh my
we did it, Joe. We did it. We did it, Joe.
Yeah, that's exactly what that would be.
Well, I think some things to look out for with this cup game is one, they're not in a bad spot. Like their group right now, like Orlando's 2-0 and Detroit. Orlando and Detroit are the 2 teams they got to worry about. Philly has lost 2 games. Philly's out and Brooklyn's out. So they've got to try to be the best second. Like if they're going to try to win their group, what they have to hope is that they beat Detroit, they beat Brooklyn, and then Orlando beats Detroit. Sorry, Detroit beats Orlando, and so now everybody kind of has a check against them and is 3-1, and they can maybe get in by point differential, which means that against the Nets, they're going to have to run up the score. Like they're going to have to try to win by as many points as possible because remember they lost by, I want to say 13 points or 14 points against the Magic. They won their only game, I want to say by 1 against Philly. Their first win, but I think they're a minus 13. And that's obviously not good. They're going to have to turn that to like a plus 13, which means they're going to have to blow Brooklyn out. They're going to have to and I think the coaches now understand running up the score in these games to get the point differential. So they're going to have to do that. Then they're going to have to tussle with Detroit, who might be trying to go for their 14th consecutive win on Wednesday.
Franchise record if they get there.
At the guard, yeah. So who knows what the Pistons will be playing for. And obviously, the Pistons want to win that cup too. They want as much hardware as they can.
That's right.
They want They want to parade downtown, with all of Detroit's fine Kwani Kilpatrick, and
they want all of it. Is he still in jail?
No, he's out of jail. Kwani Kilpatrick and Willie Horton, the great Tigers player, and Jaylen Rose would be in there. Sherrod Blakely would be in there. Sherrod's coach buddy Chris McCloskey will be in the parade. Like all these great
Vincent
people.
Goodwill Jr.
Vincent Goodwill Jr. Oh, he'll be leading the parade. He'll be all the Detroit legends will be in the house. Judge Mathis, so
I'm crying. That's
Judge
amazing.
Mathis, he'll be in the house.
You know a lot of people from Detroit, Gary. That's very
Gary loves him from Detroit.
I love Detroit.
Clearly.
So Detroit will be going for that too. So to me, the key to playing the best, the key to Friday is just kind of running up the score, winning and putting yourself in a position where if you beat Detroit and then Detroit beats Orlando, then everybody kind of has a check against each other, and now it goes a point differential. So it's important not only for the Celtics to win, obviously they want to win every game, but for the Cup, they've got to run up the score on the Nets, because I don't think running up the score on the Pistons is a possibility. Like, they're just trying to win that game.
Yeah.
1 point. But if you're looking at the Nets, who knows what the outlook of the Nets will be coming into this game. They're 2-12. I think they played pretty well last night. And they still lost by 14. So if you're the Celtics, and Joe, you ain't got to tell Joe twice about running up the score and playing till the final buzzer. That's what's going to be going down Friday night at the Garden.
Facts.
All right, Sherrod and Gary, there's one person that we are guaranteed to know is listening all the way up until this point, and that's one of our producers, our producer, Amit, who edits this, makes it look good, posts online. So Sherrod, you had a shout out for him.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's growing up so
boy,
fast.
Amit, he came to talk to my smartphone reporting class here at Boston University and was really good. I was glad that he showed up. First of all, he was on time, which is always good.
Glad that he showed up.
Showed up is insane.
And he was good, man. I mean, the kids really liked his story. I like for them to see people who are doing the kind of work that they might have some interest in doing. And, Amit, he's good at what he does. I mean, he says some things that they certainly did not expect to hear. He'll be the first to tell you he wasn't exactly a Rhodes Scholar when he was in college. I didn't realize how bad it was. I was like, damn, it was that bad for you? Your grades were like that jacked up? But, again, he's really good at what he does. He's got a lot to offer. And again, I was super happy to have him in the class, talking to the folks, talking to the kids. It's good to see.
Congratulations, Amit. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving, thank you for editing this podcast every week. You help keep it going. Of course, there's a lot of people that help keep this going. And before we get out of here, you are part of that as well. We want to remind you that if you're watching or listening, share it, subscribe, like, leave a review. Do one of the 4 things before you go. And for those of you that are watching the show on CLNS, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the CLNS Media and Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show. You can comment below. And of course, you'll find a lot of other great Celtics content there on a regular basis. Like I said, leave a comment. That way, maybe we'll talk about your comment in the next episode. That's a good way to stay engaged. And one more thing, make sure you turn on those notifications so that you know the instant a new video drops. So for Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis, or Kwani Lunis. Thank you for watching or listening to the pod.
See, now she's embracing that. See that,
I'm
Gary?
embracing load management.
He's embracing load management. You know what this
Take
means?
care of your mental health, people.
We may not see Kwani till Christmas.
Chill.
Damn, Gary. We gotta hit the tip. We gotta hit the tip space and find us a tip. Damn, Kwani Lunis. Damn. Look out.